76ers sickos, Run It Back Nation. What is good? It is I, DJ Eastwood, Run It Back Philly. No frauds, no fanboys. Never had an intro. That was not an intro. That was a figment of your imagination. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out on this another beautiful Monday. I think every Monday all off season we're going to do this. Just reacting to Sixers news and rumors. Anything that's going around the internet that I can have an opinion on that's Sixers related is what we're going to do, man. Shout out to Martin Santiago with the super chat, my guy. Appreciate you. Back like I left my Louis Vuitton backpack at my side piece's house and hadn't even turned out of her neighborhood. Let's go, Eastwood. What up? You crazy. Shout out to Martin Santiago. Thank you for the super chat. Let's get down to it, man. What are we going to talk about today, man? Are we going to talk about how Jrue Holiday is about to win his second NBA championship? The player who was traded to start the process. You can't write this stuff any better, or worse, I should say, for an organization. The player that was traded to start the process that was supposed to result in having multiple star players on the roster, and, the Sixers were supposed to be the next big thing. Oh, my gosh. Look how many first-round picks. Look how much cap space. We're going to stack this team, and we're going to be unstoppable. And 8 years later? When was Jrue Holiday traded, man? I feel like 2014. 10 years later? 2013, 2014. 10 years later, the 76ers, out of the process, got one player who is, MVP level player when he's healthy. But everything else, literally everything else, has been a miss as far as the process goes. Of course, we did get very lucky and ended up with Tyrese Maxey. But I guess, I'm shocked when people defend certain things online. But I am also learning that there's just defenders of anything. I met an Elton Brand defender the other day. I had a post that said something about Elton Brand's the worst GM hire in the history of sports. And there was people defending Elton Brand. And that's another topic, whether you think Elton Brand was actually in control or if that was Josh Harris and his billionaire buddies playing 2K with a real franchise. But there's defenders of everything. So I posted on Instagram and I said, isn't it crazy that the Sixers traded Jrue Holiday to try to get to the top of the draft multiple years in a row, and the whole thing failed, and Jrue Holiday is now on his way to win his second NBA championship. And there's actually defenders in the comments. There's defenders, there's people, there's process defenders. Process defenders. That's a new thing that I just learned existed. Because I think a lot of times I'll say something, right? And I'll be damn sure nobody's going to argue. I'll be like, nobody can argue this. If I say the process failed, nobody can argue that, right? Right? You can't argue that. Oh, but they will. Oh, but they will. And so here's some of the comments. Here's what the post said. Is it crazy that the player the Sixers traded to start the process is about to be a 2-time NBA champion, and the process was a failure? You cannot write how cursed the Sixers are as an NBA franchise. And here is some of the comments that are, I guess, defending that or arguing against that. Somebody said, I can't believe you guys are still fans. And I said, it's just in our blood. If you don't understand that, you just don't understand that. Somebody said, we, the fans, have to stop living in the past and what could have been, should have, would have happened. No, we don't. We literally don't have to do that. We can complain about the Sixers franchise forever, as long as we want to, because me personally, I've been watching it since 95, and nothing great has happened. The Al Iverson era was fun to watch. At least that went deep into the playoffs, you know. At least I got to witness an NBA Finals appearance. But no, we're always going to complain about the Sixers. They've been losing forever. Here's one. The process wasn't a fail. We ended up with Joel Embiid. I can see if he was the star of the team. I don't know what that means. He's a solid role player that we traded. Oh, they're talking about Jrue Holiday. Okay. It wasn't a fail. We ended up with Embiid. I could see if he was the star of the team. He's a solid role player that we traded and end up with an MVP. Jrue Holiday was an all-star in 2013 before the Sixers traded him. And I'm not saying Jrue Holiday is the star of the team either as far as stats go. But I did say, I got into a big argument on the Discord a couple of months ago because I said that Jrue Holiday was a major part of that Milwaukee Bucks championship run, and maybe the biggest part of it. And what I meant by that was they were down 0-2 in that NBA Finals series by trying to force Giannis Antetokounmpo from the top of the key. And as soon as Budenholzer finally started putting the ball more in Jrue Holiday's hands and running the game from the top of the key and putting Giannis under the rim and letting Jrue Holiday create the offense, they won the NBA championship. So Jrue Holiday is the exact epitome of a player that is insanely valuable, and the stat sheet will never show it. Who is the star of the Celtics team right now? It ain't Jason Tatum so far in 2 games. Jaylen Brown's been cooking, and his defense has been unbelievable also. And, you know, as much as I've talked about Jaylen Brown being the highest NBA player, paid NBA player of all time and everything the past 2 years, he's proven me wrong. Jaylen Brown is proving to be incredibly valuable. And, of course, they have Porzingis and Derek White. And, I mean, the team's just absolutely stacked, so Tatum doesn't have to carry. But Jrue Holiday is a major, major, major reason that team is as good as it is right now. An offensive and defensive point guard, facilitator, can catch and shoot, can bully people in the paint, can finish at the rim. I mean, the dude is unbelievable. And the Sixers traded him. And if they would have if they would have found a different way to get to the top of the draft while keeping Jrue Holiday, and let him develop over the years, they could have slowly built a championship roster. One thing you could have done, you could always look in hindsight, but say they keep Jrue Holiday, right? And then in 2014, you draft Giannis Antetokounmpo, or 2013. Holiday was drafted 2011, I believe, or maybe 2010. Yeah, if they could draft correctly, or if they just maybe Giannis wasn't a draft pick that anybody knew was going to be a superstar, but other teams seem to get lucky. We got lucky on Tyrese Maxey. Don't get me wrong. But if they would have just gotten lucky at some point in that 2010 to 2000 whatever, you could have had Holiday and Giannis and build around that. You wouldn't have had to tank and be at the top of the draft. 5 years at the top of the draft and the only player you came up with was Joel Embiid. That's crazy. Someone said, at this point, are you a fan or not? Yeah, a frustrated one. To be fair, the NBA stopped the process before the GM was finished. That's a take that I always kind of fire back on, because when you really look at what Sam Hinkie was doing, as the years go by and I watch other teams build contenders and build teams that fit and make sense, I'm sorry, guys. I know people loved Sam Hinkie at the time, and I know Sam Hinkie was heralded as the process, and Hinkie died for our sins and whatever else. When you really look at it, Sam Hinkie had no clue what he was doing as far as building an NBA roster. Sam Hinkie, all he did was gutted the team to be the worst team possible to get to the top of the draft. But once he was at the top of the draft, he drafted the best player available every single time and did not think about fit around Joel Embiid. To be fair, Joel Embiid was still a mythical creature at the time, and I guess people didn't know that he was ever going to play because of the foot thing, but if he would have just said, Joel's going to be healthy in the next year or so, I should draft for fit around Joel Embiid, and if I can't get that at number 1, I should trade out of it. Looking back, this is what you should have done. It's easy to look back and say what you should have done, but that's what he should have done. Drafting a 6'10 point guard who won't shoot the ball, we probably should have traded out of that pick. Drafting Markelle Fultz was a good pick. I don't care what anybody says. He was a 41% three-point shooter in college. He was the best three-point shooter off the dribble in college. He averaged 31 points per game. He was the best pull-up mid-range shooter. He made perfect sense as a ball-creating off-the-dribble shooter in college, and he was the unanimous number 1. He forgot how to shoot, or he hurt his shoulder and never learned how to shoot again. That might be the craziest story in NBA history, really. Because how the fuck does that happen? The Ben Simmons thing, you could see the signs, right? If you dug deep and looked at his draft profiles and what people were saying in Australia and what people were saying at LSU, you could have made the case to not draft Ben Simmons number 1, or you could have traded out of the pick because you thought he wasn't going to fit with Joel. That probably would have been a smart move. But the Markelle Fultz thing was totally unpredictable, and that might be the craziest thing that could happen to an NBA franchise. Or trading for Andrew Bynum and he tears his ACL in a bowling alley, right? But it's okay to say the process was a failure, bro. They haven't been out of the second round. They didn't even get out of the first round this year. It's okay to say that, man. What else we got, man? Jrue, we failed you. Terrible GM after terrible GM. Can't draft quality talent. Can't trade for jack shit. Can't recognize potential if it was backhanging them in the face. Not crazy. The process made every team better except the Sixers. This was a fun one. Not cursed. Just a horrible front office. You traded Jrue away because you drafted MCW early on. Well, they traded MCW too. Drafted 3 centers and beat Okafor and Noel. Traded away all your assets for Fultz. Nah, really. Gave Simmons and Toby max deals and kicked Jimmy Butler to the curb. It's like nobody in that front office watches basketball. Yeah, all of those things. But it is cursed because the Fultz thing is why I say they're cursed, because even when they did do the right thing and drafted the perfect player, he somehow lost his ability to shoot a basketball. I need people to understand how insane that is. That's insane. And it will never happen again. Only to the Sixers. That's why I say they're cursed. Traded for Andrew Bynum, put billboards up, and the guy tore his ACL in a bowling alley and never played a single game for the Sixers. That's crazy. Somebody cast a spell on this team in a past life. That's what happened. That's why Jrue Holiday is on the thumbnail. I just wanted to rant a little bit about how crazy it is that you started what you thought was going to be a winning formula by trading this player, and he is now taking his second team to an NBA championship. And the Celtics are stacked, and there's nothing we can do about it. As much as I hate the Celtics, look at the team. They were the Celtics fans. You were right the whole season. I called them frauds all year. I said they don't have a winning mentality. But when you have that many good players on a roster, I don't think Jason Tatum has a winning mentality. But when you have that many good players on a roster, Jason Tatum doesn't have to have a Mamba mentality. He doesn't have to be Kobe Bryant. He doesn't have to be Allen Iverson. He doesn't have to be LeBron James, Michael Jordan. He can just be Jason Tatum, which is, let's be serious, Jason Tatum's a really high-level role player. He's a really good player. I would have loved Jason Tatum over Markelle Fultz at this point, obviously. He would have fit perfectly with Joel Embiid, even Tyrese Maxey. It would have been great. But Jason Tatum's not a guy that's going to drag an undermanned team anywhere, like say Jimmy Butler did, like say Allen Iverson did in the early 2000s, like say LeBron did with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Jason Tatum's a really good player, and he's just there. Again, he's the Michael Jordan of Tobias Harris's. It is what it is. He's a good player, but he's not an MVP The only thing I argue anymore about it is when Celtics fans try to put him in the MVP running. He's not an MVP. Good player, has great games, has bad games. So far in these finals, he's had like, what, 2 16-point games or something like that. Kyrie Irving is costing me money, damn it. There's a second game I bet on Kyrie Irving to do something, and he's had 2 terrible games so far. They're down 0-2. Maybe they turn it around in Dallas, but I don't see it happening. The Celtics are going to win the championship. But Jrue Holiday, to start the process, just ends up being a player that is a big reason for that. Can the Sixers finally get out of turmoil for the first time in my life? Like, what's it going to take? I really think maybe, just maybe, Joel Embiid, we wanted him to be that guy that could finally take us out of the basement and bring a winning culture, and everybody's always hurt. Joel has the skill set, the ability, the dominance, the very, very rare package of everything together, but he has an injury issue. The only thing that we can see right now that could possibly change the course of the future for this franchise is Tyrese Maxey. So maybe in the next couple of years, Tyrese Maxey gets this team out of turmoil, out of purgatory that they've been in since 1985. Our next hope is Tyrese Maxey. I don't think it's Joel Embiid anymore, guys. I'm sorry. He's never healthy. Last year was my final straw on believing that, and he got hurt again. This upcoming season, who knows? But if you were a betting man, you should probably just bet that he's going to be hurt again. Billy King was absolutely worse than Elton Brand. He ruined Iverson's best years with his brain-dead moves. I agree he was terrible. He did ruin Iverson's best years with his brain-dead moves. He also almost traded Allen Iverson in his prime. There was a potential Tracy McGrady-Allen Iverson trade that didn't go through. A lot of things. Traded Theo Ratliff because he fractured his leg, and you kind of had to do that because of, what are you doing, bro? Lay down. You kind of had to do that because they started the season like 15-0 or something. They had the best record in the NBA, and they knew they had a shot at an NBA Finals, so they had to go all in. I mean, more cursed franchises, Clippers or Sixers? Well, I don't know much about when were the Clippers an expansion team or something? They haven't been around as long as the Sixers, right? No. I feel like the first time I saw the Clippers was in the 90s sometime. Anyway, thank you guys for the super chats, man. I appreciate you. So there's a couple things that I want to talk about, and then I'm going to get on up out of here. 229 people in here. Go ahead, hit the like button for me one time. Get me up over 300. Close out the chat. Hit the like button. We are going to discuss a very, very minute Paul George rumor. And this is what you would call a reach, but it's June 10th, and I'm reaching. This is what I'm doing. But I want you to hear it and kind of, you can laugh at it if you want to, or you can give me your thoughts on it. I'm interested to see what you guys say about that. And then there is another Sixer Galaxy off-season scenario that we will read and react to. All right? But first, this is brought to you by GameTime Ticket App. GameTime is an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the GameTime app go down the closer it gets to tip-off. Let me show you GameTime's website. Here it is. This is Phillies Red Sox tomorrow night in Boston. If you want to wear a Phillies jersey into Boston and talk a bunch of junk and tell them how much the Red Sox suck and how the Phillies are the best team in baseball, look at this. Look how GameTime works. You bring it up, and they give you flash deals like this one right here, $41 on the Green Monster. Is that where that is? Or is that in... No, that's in right field. The Green Monster. Oh, there's one seat left on top of the Green Monster. $104. You can sit on top of the big wall and watch the Phillies versus Red Sox in Boston. That'd be cool. And here's the best price available. They give you that, too, on GameTime. That's a $51 ticket. So... Very affordable. Game Time, the tickets get cheaper as the game gets closer. So check it out. Go to GameTime.co. Use the promo code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed. Now, check this out. Chris Sheed. Shout out to Chris Sheed. I wanted to make sure I shouted him out. He sent me a clip from this Twitter account called NBA Insider GOAT. Okay, I have no idea who this is, but it has 8,371 followers. And I've been reading through the tweets that this account makes, and it's claiming that it's an NBA insider. And it seems creepily accurate. Okay. NBA Insider, at least recently, this Twitter page was one of the first ones to shoot down the JJ Redick rumors. Everyone last week thought JJ Redick was the new head coach of the LA Lakers, and it was set in stone, and it was a done deal, and JJ Redick was going to be the coach of the Lakers, and it was over. And this account was out here saying, that's not true, hold your horses, this is what I'm hearing, and this account keeps talking about how they have really good inside information. And if you just go to at NBA Insider GOAT, if you want to look at it yourself, and just go scroll back months through the tweets, and it seems to be incredibly accurate. So it is possible that there's somebody that has sources that talk to NBA executives, etc., and gets rumors and drops them incognito on Twitter without putting his name out there. He doesn't even put his voice out there. That's the funniest part about this. But he was like, hold up, take it easy. UConn head coach Dan Hurley is who the Lakers are really looking at, not JJ Redick. And now, after he said that, he posted this, and then rumors start to come out about Dan Hurley being interviewed by the LA Lakers. So another thing that he was pretty accurate about, okay? But I want you to hear this, and you can say, haha, this is stupid, this is not a real account, this is whatever, that's fine. But here's what somebody posted that was sent to me in one of these Twitter spaces that whoever this person is does, where he apparently has inside sources and drops rumors. He dropped this little piece right here, and he disguises his voice in these Twitter spaces. And this is what he said. Just listen.
I will just drop some free news because I love my people. Paul George is looking like he will make his way to Philadelphia. Ingram to Cleveland. Early ramblings, but this is what I have heard. Also, as an add-on, Max Christie will have an increased role as a Laker, regardless of the next coach.
Hold up, let me play it again, man. Is this what we're doing? Eastwood, is this really what we're doing? We're listening to a robot voice on Twitter drop NBA rumors? I'm telling you, though. You see, all the signs point to this account actually being connected to inside sources. And he's pretty damn accurate with everything that he tweets. That's why he has almost 9,000 followers on this random-ass account without showing his face or his name or anything. He sounds pretty... Listen to this.
I will just drop some free news because I love my people. Paul George is looking like he will make his way to Philadelphia. Ingram to...
Paul George is looking like he will make his way to Philadelphia. And those rumors have been swirling for a while now, obviously because the Clippers have yet to offer him a max contract. I've been saying for weeks, if the Clippers don't offer it, I know who's going to offer it. It's going to be Daryl Morey. He has a history of these things. He will offer Paul George that max contract that he wants. And if that happens, and if the Clippers don't match it, Paul George will probably do what's best in his financial interests or the longevity of his career in getting paid top NBA money, he will probably choose the longer contract that pays him more money over that period of time. That's just the smart thing to do financially. Whereas, if the Clippers are only offering him 2 years or 3 years at less money, there's a potential for your career to be cut short before that ends. There's a potential for you to make a lot less money over the course of those years. Whereas if you get the 4-year, $200+ million, it's a smarter thing to do. This person who claims to have inside sources and from what I've seen seems to be pretty accurate with everything that he says on here, sounds pretty confident that Paul George is coming to Philadelphia. Out of all of the things like the Jimmy Butler rumors, the Paul George rumors, if the Pelicans trade Brandon Ingram, this just said Brandon Ingram to Cleveland. I don't know how accurate that will be either. But if you look at all of the things and the rumors and, if they draft Bronny, LeBron can come here, the Paul George one sounds the most realistic. It does. And if you're looking at it from a business standpoint, as far as 76ers ownership, right? Because they're trying to bleed this turnip for as long as they can. Every year, they're just, what's the next thing we can do to sell hope to the fans again, to get them to come back to the arena? That's all we want to do. We don't actually have to win. We got to have a new sales pitch every year. That's what it is. It's a business. So if you want a new sales pitch after 2 years ago, we were done, and they fired Doc Rivers, hired Nick Nurse. Well, 2 years ago, we were done, and they made the James Harden thing or whatever. Or it was the second year of the James Harden thing. So they were like, wait. The first year, he was out of shape. He had a hamstring issue. They said, this time it's going to work. That failed. They said, okay, we're going to let James Harden, we're going to fire Doc Rivers. We're going to hire Nick Nurse. That's a new sales pitch. Then Daryl trades James Harden that's a new sales pitch, right? That was this upcoming season. That fails. You need another sales pitch. What's the sales pitch now? Paul George. Obviously, that's the only thing left. So the Sixers, not just in the idea of like what's the best options out there to try to make this team better as quick as possible, Paul George makes the most sense. But from a business standpoint, what do we have left to sell hope to the fans one more time? One or two more times. We got to sell hope just one or two more times. From a business standpoint, you give Paul George a max contract, you put him on a banner outside the arena, you sell hope again, and you continue the process of just duping and tricking everyone into continuing to buy tickets to watch a team not get out of the second round. That's ultra negative. Do I think Paul George could help them I do think Paul George could help them get out of the second round, actually. I would probably have more confidence in year 5 Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, who probably gets hurt at some point. Hopefully it's early enough to where he's healthy for the playoffs again. And Paul George. I would have more faith, I think, in adding Paul George to this roster right now than I had in the James Harden team the second year. I had faith, though, but I saw it quickly that it was the same thing over again. But I think I would have confidence that team gets you out of the second round for the first time in 20 years? No, why would I think that? What am I saying? Why am I lying to myself on a Monday afternoon? We're going to fall for it. We're going to fall for it hook, line, and motherfucking sinker, and we're going to buy Paul George jerseys, bro. We're going to fall for it so hard. This is a toxic relationship. We keep taking her back. What do you guys think, man? Yo, Venkata, man. Thanks for the $10 super chat. I appreciate you so much. Options for Clippers if Paul George leaves for the opt-in trade. Options for Clippers if Paul George leaves for the opt-in trade? Are you asking me what the Clippers' options would be if Paul George opts in to his player option and they sign and trade him? Or are you saying a sign and trade is an option for the Clippers if Paul George wants to leave? If you're saying options for the Clippers if Paul George leaves for the opt-in trade. If you're saying a sign and trade is an option the Clippers have if Paul George wants to leave, that's true. Because at that point, if Paul George says, listen, guys, you're not offering me what I want. Yeah, but then he wouldn't opt in, though, because that's not how he's going to get that 4-year max contract. Opting in isn't going to get him that 4-year max contract. Well, I don't know. Is it? Opting into a 1-year player option, I guess then the Sixers could sign him to an extension? I don't know, dude. This is giving me a headache. But anyway, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Sorry if I didn't actually answer a question you were asking. Still going to say I want Pascal Siakam. I don't like the fit, man. I don't like the fit, bro. I like Pascal, what he brings to a team, but the whole thing is about Joel Embiid. I know a lot of people are over it. A lot of people are over the Joel Embiid stuff, and they're like, we need to move on. We need to build the team this way, or this way. It doesn't matter. As long as Joel Embiid's still playing, he's still an MVP level, you're going to build the team around Joel Embiid. That's just how you're going to do it. And Pascal Siakam, from a fit standpoint, just doesn't really make sense alongside Joel Embiid. You know what I mean? Paul George makes more sense. Would it be nice to have 29-year-old Paul George versus 35-year-old Paul George? Of course it would. But this is where we are, man. Do the Sixers give 2 or 3 picks for Paul George? See, that's... And thank you for another super chat. So that's where I would, I think, be upset. This is the reason I'm okay with the Paul George signing, because it's just free agency. It's just cap space money. And, you know, as much as, yeah, you don't want to blow 50 mil of a 65 million on one guy, you're not giving up future assets. You're just signing him outright, and then you still have all the other assets. You have 5 tradable first-round picks, etc., to do other things and try to get other players that can fit around and have a better collection of role guys than you ended up having this past season, which resulted in the worst bench in the NBA. Although we thought they were deep at some points, it turned out that they weren't deep enough. With, you know, ending up with Kyle Lowry playing 40 minutes a game in the playoffs and burning out and all of those types of things. So if you can sign Paul George and keep your assets to then do other things, it's probably the best option. But if he opts in and they sign and trade him, and then you got to give up 2 or 3 firsts for him, no, absolutely not. I'm not giving up 2 or 3 first-round picks to max out a 35-year-old player. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Hebrew Hammer, that's exactly, bro. What other choice do we have? There's no other. That's how Sixers fans got to look at it. Sixers fans are all, you know, I don't want to do this. We shouldn't do this. We shouldn't do that. Backs against the wall, man. Backs against the wall. What else can you do? What other options do you have? Who knows, man? It'll probably blow up and not work, but it is what it is. So another Sixer Galaxy Sixer Daily offseason scenario. And here's one that they put together. Myself and Sixer Daily created another offseason scenario that includes the acquisitions of Brandon Ingram and one of the best backup centers in the league. Now, is Brandon Ingram a perfect fit? I wouldn't say so. But if you look at how close... I look at Brandon Ingram right now as a much better Tobias Harris. Is he mostly a mid-range shooter? Yes. Does he not really enjoy stretching the floor and shooting threes? No, he doesn't. But if you just look at the team and say, you know, if Tobias Harris just gave us 15 points in Game 6, do we end up getting out of the first round? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was really that close. As much as we want to talk shit on the roster construction and how much the team sucks or whatever, they were actually that close. They just got no production from anybody outside of Embiid and Maxey. I mean, what did Game 6? They both had 30-plus points? And you got a goose egg from Kyle Lowry and Tobias Harris. Like if you just got they lost every game in that series by like less than 5 points. If you just had a third guy that could get a fucking bucket, they would have been out of the first round. They probably would have beat the Pacers. They probably would have been in the Eastern Conference Finals. So is Brandon Ingram a perfect fit? No. But if you would end up with Brandon Ingram, does it get you out of the second round? I think it possibly could when you look at the whole Eastern Conference and kind of how weak it ended up being this whole year. So there's a Brandon Ingram trade in here. Tyrese Maxey, 5-year, $205 million extension. Sign and trade Brandon Ingram, 4 years, 192. That's $50 million a year for Brandon Ingram. $50 million a year for Brandon Ingram. Is this what we're doing now? I guess pretty soon $50 million a year will be like mid-high level basketball money because the best players are starting to get 65, 70, which is consistently blowing my mind because I don't know what you do with that much money. But $50 million a year for Brandon Ingram. And with him not being a perfect fit, because you would like a guy that stretches the floor a little better than him, you're committing to 4 years of Brandon Ingram. I don't like that. I also don't think Daryl Morey would do that because I don't even know if Daryl Morey knows who Brandon Ingram is. Let's see. We got a DeAnthony Melton signed, 4 years, $56 million. I like DeAnthony Melton as a utility guy off the bench. I love what he brings to the table with his just attitude, work ethic, the way he plays the game. He's just he walks into the game in a hoodie and just gets shit done and doesn't talk. And I respect that and I love it. Partially because I'm so tired of the divas that have been on this team for so long. But the back issue last year scared me at only 25 years old. I mean, I guess if he's healthy, sure. Nicholas Batum, 1 year, 4.5. If he wants to come back, I'm all for it. Can we minimize his minutes? Sure. But Nicholas Batum's a guy that, he brings a lot of good things to the team. His catch and shoot ability, his quick trigger is great. It's so valuable. What you want on this team next to Joel and Tyrese, and his ability to set up Joel when they run the high-low with Batum and Joel, it was great. He's probably the best passing. He's definitely the best passing big man Joel's ever played with, and him and Joel Embiid created a level of chemistry last season. I'd like to see another year of that for sure. Cameron Payne, yes, please. Please re-sign Cameron Payne. Please re-sign Cameron Payne. I love Cameron Payne. That dude brings a level of dog off the bench that this team has not had for such a long time, bro. His confidence level is crazy. He comes into a game where nobody's doing shit, and he's like, you know what? Give me the ball. And he just has an attitude like he is the best player on the planet every time he's on the floor, and I respect that so much. I love Cameron Payne. Yes, please. Kelly Oubre, yes, please. Talked about that a million times already. I want Kelly Oubre back. Pause. Kelly Oubre, Cameron Payne. This is a good supporting cast. If you landed Brandon Ingram in the trade and then Kelly Oubre, Cameron Payne, Batum, DeAnthony Melton, and if everybody stays healthy, then, so here's what they wrote down as part of the Brandon Ingram sign and trade. They will be trading Paul Reed. They will be trading a second-round pick. They will be trading our pick number 13 in this year's NBA draft, 2026. No, that's 2026 pick swap. That's the best between OKC, Houston, LA, which came in the James Harden trade. They would be trading the unprotected 2028 first-round pick from the Clippers. Ooh. Is that what that is? No, it would say Clippers there. That's the Sixers' own 2028 first round pick, which I don't actually think is tradable. I don't think they can trade their own first round pick until 2029 because of NBA rules on trading first round picks. So I don't think that's possible if you're talking about the Sixers first round pick. And if you're talking about the 2028 Clippers unprotected pick, absolutely not, because that pick is going to have insane value, and it could possibly be at the top of the draft by 2028. And you don't trade that for Brandon Ingram. But if you change this 2028 to 2029 first round pick, maybe that's it. And then they have a Naz Reid trade. The Sixers trade their 16th pick this season in this upcoming draft and 3 seconds for Naz Reid. Naz Reid was an absolute dog for the Minnesota Timberwolves in the playoffs this season, and as a backup center, yes, absolutely. If you could get Naz Reid for the 16th pick in this lame NBA draft that's about to happen in 3 seconds, 100% yes. So you get an actual backup center who, sadly, I just don't think Paul Reed is that guy. He showed us last year that he's not. Brandon Ingram, Naz Reid, re-sign these guys. That's pretty good. And here's what the starting line. Here's what the lineups would look like: Tyrese Maxey, DeAnthony Melton, Brandon Ingram. That's a terrible picture of the guy, man. Nick Batum, Joel Embiid, Kyle Lowry, Cameron Payne, Kelly Oubre, Ricky Council, Naz Reid. Hopefully, Ricky Council is much more of a part of the rotation this season. I'd still rather a younger, more athletic, bigger point guard than Kyle Lowry right there. Kyle Lowry is 79 years old. I like what he brought to the team last season, but I'm good off Kyle Lowry. I don't need Kyle Lowry back, even though they're probably going to do it because Nick Nurse loves him and Daryl Morey only knows players older than 35 years old. And then their remaining assets. Is this their assets? I can never figure out if they're talking about this is their assets before all of these trades go down, or this is their remaining assets after all these trades go down. 5 first-round picks, 4 second-round picks, a future pick swap. So there's that, man. It's not the best option, but if you guys that are arguing you shouldn't be chasing aging superstars, you should be chasing depth, then this is definitely probably the best way they could build depth without build depth while not signing somebody like Paul George or trading for Jimmy Butler or anything. That team is a second round knockout waiting to happen. How do you figure? That team couldn't beat the Pacers, bro? Joel Embiid, year 5, Tyrese Maxey, Brandon Ingram, Naz Reid is your backup center, Cam Payne, DeAnthony Melton, Kelly Oubre off the bench. That team doesn't beat the Indiana Pacers? Come on, bro. Come on. I want to talk shit on the Sixers too, but we got to be realistic, bro. That team's beating the Pacers in the second round, or whoever's in the second round next season. The Cavs, the damn Knicks, if it is that team's getting out of the second round. Or I'm lying to myself and you're 100% accurate. If Brandon Ingram goes cold, then he's useless, and it happens to be very streaky. 100%. That's why he's a third option. You're looking at him as a third option. The problem with the Pelicans was that they were trying to look at Brandon Ingram as a first option. I think it's clear now that he's not that. I think it's clear now that he's not a first option. But Brandon Ingram as a third option, who knows? You know what I mean? That's where I'm at with it. We need a ball handler. Lowry is cooked. I agree. I would move on from Melton because of his back. Yeah, his back definitely scares me. Especially it was crazy. It was like handle your own. I don't even know what that means, bro. Y'all are getting weird, man. RJ, what up? I've been a fraud. I've been so down on this team. I've been forgetting to watch the new videos. It's all good, brother. You had to take a break from the nonsense. I got you. This team frustrates me so much. I'm going to keep it a buck with you guys. If I wasn't at the point now where I'm making money doing this, I probably would have taken a 2-month that you guys are even here. In a sign and trade for Paul George, what would you give better than Brandon Ingram? I wouldn't be interested in a sign and trade for Paul George, bro. I would not be interested in a sign and trade for Paul George. I can't give a 35-year-old player a max contract while giving up future assets. I would not be interested in a sign and trade for Paul George. Anyway, Naz Reid is 6'9". We have to stop putting power forwards in as backup centers. That's a solid take. It's a solid take, although Naz Reid is just very athletic for his size and has a wild just hustle mentality, and he's strong as hell, and he never quits. And but would it be nice to have a 7-footer back there? Of course it would. I mean, look what Isaiah Hartenstein did to us in the playoffs. How tall is Isaiah Hartenstein? Oh, he's 7 feet tall. Son of a bitch, you're right. Son of a bitch, you're right. Anyway, yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out once again. Monday, what are we calling? What are we calling it? Monday Sixers rumors. Monday, I don't know. But thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. Hit the like button one more time. You guys are the best, man. I'll see you soon. Long off season. Long off season is coming up. It's about to get crazy. Y'all have a great Monday, man. I'm out.